Did you hear a difference? And if you didn't, let's try something a little bit different with some repetition in it, see if you can hear it this time. And in a little bit, you're gonna hear some behind the scenes information about this album from this book. To be honest, this has to be one of the closest comparisons I've done, even more so than the recent Megadeth ones. I mean, it's to the point where I'm like, are these actually the same? But I will tell you, when I did a blind test, I will say the majority of the time I picked the original because I felt like I had a tiny bit more bass. And when I say tiny bit, I mean like really a very, very tiny bit more.
You're repeating yourself.
When you look at the waveform, doesn't it look a little bit different? Like there's actually more dynamic range in the original by a tiny bit more so than the FDR, which is kind of strange. I feel like the biggest difference when there was blast beats. Scott Burns says this album cost $1,200 in 1989. I don't know what the adjustment for inflation would be. If someone can do it, let me know in the comments. And took about 1 or 2 days to do, which is very different from some of the other death metal albums he was doing. And he says he really doesn't like to listen to any of the albums he did because he hears all the mistakes and imperfections. But this one he's fine listening to because this is very deep rooted in punk. It's grindcore. And he came from a punk background. He basically said, just do it, go with the flow. And even when there's only like just one instrument, like a bass or drums, and I A-B them back and forth, I cannot for the life of me tell any difference between them. But this is just how I perceive it. All that matters is how you guys perceive it. And can you hear a difference? Maybe you can. Maybe you can do a blind test and do it 10 out of 10 and pick the right one or pick the one you think is better. But if I'm buying this FDR and I've already got the original, I'm going to expect more of a difference between the two. I'm going to do more of these FDRs versus the original as it goes on, but I'm telling you, I'm sure that none of them have the difference that this album does right here.